I guess instead of an opening question, obviously there's been so much emotion through a season and into this. Just so your thoughts and maybe a little bit of what you shared with the team.
None of your business. Unfortunately, I think there's a camera in there. You'll probably. It was a quick message. We're only halfway there. We didn't have the luxury of having the one game and then you're automatically in. So, guys feel great about this win. Really put a lot into this. This is not something that could just happen overnight. We feel like there's been some good things happening the last several weeks, and this is the first time we've been mostly whole. In a while where guys feel good. So Chicago, also, humbled us, this year. They have a unique style of play, the way they play with that pace and they score. We had 2 games where we felt like we were in control of the game, both times in the fourth quarter, and they came storming back and had some impressive, scoring quarters. So even as we were up, 15 in the fourth quarter, I remember being up 12, at home, and how fast that lead can change because of their pace. Our guys really respected how much they could score. And we had some impressive defensive efforts to be able to hold that team to 90. Is not an easy task. So there were some very good defensive performances. I thought Bam set the tone, at the beginning of the game, just with his energy and toughness. And the matchup was giddy, but then different guys stepped up at different times. Wiggs defensively had some really good possessions. Davion obviously is so inspiring with his effort, and Kyle, without scoring a basket in this game, had as much impact as anybody. I love stat lines like that. How much you can help win a game without scoring a point. But we're only halfway there, so we got to recalibrate and get to our prep pretty quickly and get on to Atlanta.
A week ago, we were talking about a Tyler Hero shot. When he tried to do right, at least he thought. But what does it say about him that 1 week later he can come back, have such a dominating performance, and really absolutely seize the moment?
Yeah, Tyler's a great competitor. Look, we were fighting to get back. I mean, that would have been an absolute steal if we got that game. I mean, if he made the shot, I tell you what, it would have been a whole lot more interesting than those last 2 possessions. But he's a great competitor. So he knew he was going to have to bring a lot to this game, and offensively he was there pretty much at every level all game long. But I think quietly I thought he had a really good defensive game, and we need that. We're going to need that as we move on to Atlanta. He wants to prove that he can be a two-way player, and I love that about him.
Tyler, how much of the growth that we've seen all year was on the slate tonight? Just 10 of 10, I think, in the paint, 20 paint points, just the pace he played at.
Yeah, and it was, like I said, it was in a lot of different ways. So it's not just straight, high pick and roll where he's just going to get worn out or they could trap him. He's making a lot of those plays in between that are unscripted. But we've also, been able to develop that game, which requires everybody, seizing those moments, and seeing it and developing an IQ to be able to get to that, to be able to take advantage of his skill set, particularly when he's off the ball. And that's taken some time, but he's he's a highly skilled, offensive player.
You look at what's next and going from this and having really almost 4 days to prepare for this to a relatively quick turnaround to Atlanta. What do you sort of think will have to change for that type of game, or is it just bring what you brought today and let game plan sort of fall to play?
Well, I mean, the most important thing about today is that we imposed a will defensively and competitively, on the glass, loose balls, things of that nature. Those will remain true. As we get to Atlanta, there will be some different specifics, to their team, and we'll just have to get to it. I mean, our guys love to compete, so I don't think they would like 2 extra days, waiting around to get after it.
I thought it was perfect in the first half on the field. But then early fourth quarter, they started to get some misses, forced some turnovers. And then he just had a few possessions where he just went straight at guys and drew fouls. How important was that for him? You said he had this really kind of well-rounded game to show that he can just win with physicality and control the game that way.
Yeah, and have the patience. You're not going to go perfect all the way through, but can you respond when a couple of possessions don't go your way? And then can you continue to make the right play? Sometimes it's getting off the ball. Sometimes it's playing off the ball and allowing other guys to play and providing space. He's become much more patient and mature. And I think, his confidence is just growing, and he's becoming a lot more efficient, because of that. All right?
Defensive security rotations, they never had clean passing around. They couldn't really get advantages, swinging the ball around. How did everybody defend?
Yeah, again, like what I said before. Our guys, we all felt humbled. They can score, and we, watching games where they'd score 150 points, and then had those monster quarters against us to get a win. So it was born out of respect, for the offensive firepower and the system that Billy's developed, with this team. All right. Thank you.
Lock 'em's open, guys.